your number. If you were to be chased by an alligator in the water, you're in trouble. So don't go swimming with alligators. All right, now, all of that strength, all of that power to move that fast in the water comes from this tail. All right, you see how flat it is on the side, how tall it is? This is his propeller, and it is a solid muscle. So all he needs to do is one good swing of that tail, kind of in this serpentine S-shaped motion, and that can send him forward at up to 25 miles an hour. Now, he's moving all nice and lackadaisically in here because he doesn't want to use that type of energy that it would take for him to move fast. And he would have to have a good reason to do that in the first place. Really, the only time they're going to swim that fast is generally if they want to get away from something. This is not an animal that's going to chase down its prey. They're ambush predators. They're going to wait for their food to come to them so they can do as little work as possible. So, you don't really have to be worried about being chased by an alligator. They do not see us as prey. We're not a food source. All right, these guys specialize in smaller food, turtles, fish, wading birds, raccoons, stuff that they can take down by themselves, swallow in one go, and be done with it. Easy prey. We are not easy prey. If he were to go after me, while he does outweigh me by 600 or so pounds, I'm going to fight back if he attacks me. A turtle's not going to fight back. All right, he doesn't know what kind of injury risk I pose him, and it's not worth it for him to find out. So now if you were to see an alligator out in the wild, 99 times out of 100, if you approach it, this is how it's going to react. Oh, they sort of love you. Give me a hug. They just want to go in the other direction. They want to be left alone. All right, again. Now, me and Crystal weigh about the same. She's still a little bit bigger than me. She's got a much better weapon than I do in those set of jaws. So if she wanted to do some damage to me, she could. So now when I was approaching her, she felt threatened. Not threatened enough that she had to face off with me and find out what kind of threat, just enough that she could slink off and be left alone. And in the wild, this is what they're going to do. They want nothing to do with us. We are not on the menu. In the state of Florida, you are actually more likely to get killed by a falling coconut. I am not making that up. That is the absolute true statistic. Falling coconuts kill more people in Florida each year than alligators. All right, in the 10 states where alligators exist all throughout the southeast, you are much more likely, something like 100 times more likely to be killed in a deer-related accident. But you're much more likely to be afraid of cannibal than you are of Bambi. All right, but the numbers do not bear that out. Deer are way more dangerous. So basically what I'm trying to say is that these guys are not man-eaters. All right, when attacks do happen, there's generally two reasons. One, you have the misfortune of going near a female's nest. If you get in between a female and her nest, she will chase you. In another couple months, we're getting into breeding season now, she's gonna have a nest in here. Once that happens, this dynamic changes a bit. She will not just run from me. If I go near her, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you, but if I go near her or I go near her nest, she will chase me straight out that door. They will defend their nest with their life. All right, like I imagine if there's any mothers in the audience, you guys will protect your kids with your life. She's gonna do the same thing. So that's the first case where people may get attacked. The other is a case of mistaken identity. All right, if you live on a canal, lake, river system where these guys exist, and you want to go swimming, so you're in the shallows, you're having some fun, you're splashing around. All right, well, splashing around, this is a very good imitation of a distressed animal. A dying fish, a bird with a broken wing flapping around in the shallows. That's going to get their attention, because that means easy meal. All right, so they're going to come in and inspect what it is. So if you act like an injured animal, they may treat you like one. Now, generally, if that happens, they come and they attack you, you're going to start kicking and screaming and thrashing and punching and kicking, and they're going to let go, because you are not worth the trouble to them. You're a good meal, but you're also a really big injury risk. They would much rather work less, get an easy meal that's not going to hurt them. All right, if this one attacks me and I'm being attacked and I'm going to go try to put my fingers in its eyes and poke its eyes out, well, maybe the next time it's not going to be able to hunt because I did that. Well, it's just not worth it. So they're just going to slink off, go about their business. Excuse me. So now, if you were to get bit, that's going to ruin your day. These jaws are some of the most powerful in the animal kingdom. Crocodilians in general, alligators, crocodiles, gharials, that group of animals, strongest jaw pressure in any animal on Earth. Anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 pounds per square inch. If it were 2,000 to 5,000 pounds in the entire mouth, that'd be impressive. But that's the force per square inch. Meaning that if he were to bite you, on the tip of every single tooth in his mouth would be coming down with that force, 2,000 to 5,000 pounds. On every tooth. He's got 80 teeth. So you do the math. It is an unbelievable amount of pressure. That is enough to crack a turtle shell, to break any bone in your body, not break it, not shatter it, but pulverize it. It will turn it into tiny, tiny little bits. Or even a cow's femur, a cow's thigh bone, thickest bone on that. Snap it like a toothpick. All right, it is an unbelievable amount of force. So now, if anybody has a camera, if anybody wants to get a fun picture of me doing something stupid, now's the time to get the camera out. Now we got one kid in the audience. Stay in school. He's much lighter in the water. Stay with me, bud. Or not. All right, now there's only one reason why that worked. When these guys, when their jaws go up to a certain angle, he can no longer really open his mouth. Now his mouth is his self-defense. So once I took that control of his mouth away from him, he felt vulnerable. He felt like I was a threat. So what did he do? He just tried to back himself up out of that situation. Get control of his jaws again so he could defend himself if he had to. Imagine getting in a fight, someone holding your arms. You feel pretty vulnerable. First thing you'd want to do, try to get out of that situation and get control of your arms back. You can defend yourself. That's exactly what he was doing. Felt vulnerable, didn't like that situation, and just tried to remove himself from it. Now, at 800 pounds, if he wanted to, he could have gone straight after me afterwards. He could have backed up and then lunged right at me. But again, it's not worth it to him to find out what kind of risk I present. It's more than enough for him to just go away, slink out of sight, and go hide. All right, if this was in the wild, you wouldn't be able to see him. He thinks that he's still in the glades, like this is murky water, that I can't see him. He doesn't realize we're in nice clear water, so he's hiding. All right, that's all they want to do. If he wanted to come after me, if these guys were man-eaters, you'd have just seen it. All right? If you gather anything from my little talk here, it's that these guys are not just vicious, mindless killers. All right? If anything you gather, please take that away from us. All right, so with that, guys, does anybody have any questions about the animals? Yes?
How long can you stay under before you lose your breathing?
An animal this size can likely stay under anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. They did a kind of brutal experiment in, I think it was the 1950s or 60s, where they took all different species of crocodilian from caiman, alligators, crocodiles, to see how long they could stay underwater. And unfortunately, how do you do that? Well, see how long it takes them to drown. So they did that with all kinds. Crocodiles came in. They came in at somewhere around 45 minutes to an hour. Alligators, however, much, much longer. Much better at basically just shutting down their system. Basically going into a stasis where they're not using any of their resources. Alligators in general, there's two species, American alligator, Chinese alligator. Both of those are the most northerly species of crocodilians. All right, so they have to deal with the coldest weather, sometimes freezing weather. So these guys exist all the way up to southern North Carolina, which regularly gets hard freezes, where water freezes over the surface. So what they'll do is basically he'll come up with his head to the, to the water level, and he'll have just his nose, just his nostrils protruding above the water, and he will let the water freeze around him. And it will freeze him into place, into that layer of ice. It's called the icing response. And they can live like that for months. As long as they've got the ability to breathe, their nose doesn't get frozen over, they can stay there for months. No eating, no drinking, just breathing. Their body temperature can go down to 40 degrees, and they're still all right. That is very likely related to their ability to hold their breath. Right? Their ability to basically shut their system down for periods of time. Any other questions?